Rolex is one of the most respected and recognizable luxury brands. People who don't know much about watches think of Rolex as the pinnacle of watchmaking. And those of us who do know about watches respect the brand and even lust after their timepieces. How Rolex accomplished such a branding feat is complicated and multifaceted. And I think one of these facets is exemplified by this GMT-Master II 126710 BLRO, also known as the Pepsi. The steel Pepsi was announced at Baselworld 2018. It was immediately a hit. People had been hoping and waiting for a blue-red steel GMT since Rolex stopped producing the 16710 back in 2007. In 2013, Rolex announced this watch, the 116710 BLNR. It was their first watch to feature a bicolor ceramic bezel, and it was done in this entirely new black-blue colorway. It took Rolex 5 years to get from this to this. To most healthy people, these are nearly the same watch. In fact, when I showed the Pepsi to my wife, she said, "Oh, that looks like your black-blue watch." She's not wrong. They're the same size in every dimension. They function the same way. They look similar. And come on, they even have the same name on the dial. And this is one of the reasons I think Rolex is so successful. They focus on slow evolution, not rapid revolution. A new colorway, an updated bracelet, and most certainly an upgraded movement. These are what constitutes monumental changes for Rolex. While other brands are completely revamping flagship watches every few years, Rolex is making minor improvements with big impact. To me, this is the difference between someone in a meeting who gets attention by speaking loudly and someone who gets everyone to sit forward and listen by speaking slowly and quietly. Let's talk a little more about the differences between these two watches. Color, obviously. Even the blues are very different. I know some people have issues with the fact that the ceramic Pepsi doesn't have the same color saturation as the old aluminum Pepsi. But I think those old colors on this shiny, larger bezel insert might be too bold. In my opinion, when you assess these colors on their own, they look great. And then we get to the bracelet, another point of contention for many collectors. For years, this oyster-style bracelet was the only option for the Rolex GMT. But for decades prior, buyers could purchase the GMT on either an oyster or a Jubilee bracelet. So I was excited to see the return of the Jubilee GMT in 2018. I like the look. In fact, I like the look so much that in 2017, I bought this Jubilee bracelet to put on my Batman. This was made for a 36mm Datejust, but in 2017, it fit most 40mm Rolex sport watches. Both the Oyster and the newer Jubilee have the Easy Link extension, which allows you to expand or contract the bracelet by 5mm without any tools. I use the Easy Link several times a day. And then we get to what's inside, the movement. The Batman has the 3186 movement, and the Pepsi has the upgraded 3285 movement. The most practical difference between these two is the power reserve. The 3186 has a 48-hour power reserve, and the newer 3285 has a 70-hour power reserve. Rolex says they accomplished this increase by using a new escapement system that they're calling Chronenergy. The new movement is also claimed to have better shock absorption. So, a new color combo, which is actually an old color combo, a new bracelet, which is actually an old bracelet style, and some small updates to the movement. And this has resulted in a watch with a waiting list longer than Santa's naughty list. It doesn't seem to make sense. But it does make sense, because this is one way Rolex has found success, by small improvements. The result of this pattern is that people know that when they buy a Rolex, it won't look outdated or eclipsed in a year. Rolex moves at a slow, deliberate pace, and so buyers trust them. Staying true to design principles and not changing with fashions might seem boring, because it is. There are many watches more visually and technologically interesting than this Rolex Pepsi. But there are only a few that become classics this quickly, and nearly all of them are made by Rolex. There's a reason for that.